Boy trains to become a demon slayer to save sister. Hello, folks! Anime Recap Guy is here today to provide a refresher on everyone's favorite anime. While we wait for the third season of Demon Slayer to reach us this April, let's accompany Tanjiro on his adventure once again. Tanjiro Kamado is a hard-working boy living in the mountains with his mother and 5 siblings. After the death of his father, Tanjiro has taken up the role of being the family's breadwinner by selling charcoal down in the village. His kind nature and keen sense of smell has helped him garner a good name among the villagers. After selling all his charcoal one day, Tanjiro is stopped on his way back home by a villager named Saburo. He offers Tanjiro a place to stay for the night, as it would be dangerous to be heading towards the mountains in the dark due to the presence of man-eating demons. Once Tanjiro agrees to wait out the night at his place, Saburo explains that demons have been hunting in the dark for a long time, and it is the demon slayers that protect the humans from this threat. Tanjiro bids farewell to Saburo in the morning and heads home. Once nearly there, he smells blood in the air and quickens his pace. An utter nightmare has come to life. Tanjiro is shocked to find his family brutally slaughtered. He finds that only one of his sisters, Nezuko, is warm and carries her on his back through the woods, desperate to get her some help. While he promises to save her, Nezuko suddenly attacks him, but he slips on the snow and escapes. When he is again attacked by her, he realizes that she might have turned into a demon. But considering he had sensed another smell in the surrounding of his house, and that Nezuro did not have blood on her mouth and hands, he is confident that she is not the one responsible for the massacre his family faced. Just then, Nezuko grows in size, and it becomes more difficult for Tanjiro to hold her back. In such a desperate moment, he urges Nezuko to fight back on her impulses and remain strong. Surprisingly, Nezuko listens and is able to stop attacking him. Right then, a man with a sword gets there and attacks Nezuko. Tanjiro protects her, narrowly missing the sword himself. When asked why he saved her, Tanjiro replies that she is his sister. Tricking Tanjiro, the man manages to catch hold of Nezuki and then tells him that it is his job to destroy demons. Tanjiro pleads to the man by telling him about the other scent in his house and tries to convince him that Nezuki didn't kill anyone while admitting that he doesn't know why she has become a demon herself. The man replies that she turned into a demon because her wounds were exposed to demon blood. Tanjiro continues to plead for his sister's life while the demon slayer thinks about how painful it must be for Tanjiro to have lost his entire family in a day and to be seeing his sister turned into a demon. He urges Tanjiro to not just cry and grovel, but instead do something effective to save her from his sword. Tanjiro manages to distract the demon slayer and runs towards him, but is hit unconscious by his sword. Just when the demon slayer is thinking, where did Tanjiro's axe vanish to? It lands on him, and he realizes Tanjiro's smart hoodwinking. When he releases Nezuko, instead of attacking her brother, she protects him, and instead intimidates the demon slayer. This display of bravery by the siblings impresses the demon slayer. Tanjiro's family visits him in a dream. His mother apologizes for leaving him alone and asks him to save Nezuko. Waking up, he realizes that Nezuko is unconscious beside him and has a wooden muzzle. Seeing Tanjiro awake, the demon slayer suggests that he go meet Sakonji Urokodaki and tell him that Yu Tomioka sent him there. Right before leaving, he warns Tanjiro to keep Nezuki out of the sunlight. Accordingly, after burying their family in their yard, Tanjiro and Nezuki set off for Mount Sagiri. After forcefully paying a farmer for a damaged basket, Tanjiro mends it for Nezuki to protect her from the sunlight during their travel. Once on the mountain path, Tanjiro catches the scent of blood when they see a temple in the woods. Initially thinking someone must be gravely injured because of the rough terrain, Tanjiro rushes up the temple steps only to find a demon wreaking havoc by devouring corpses inside the temple. At the sight of all the blood, the demon inside Nezuko begins salivating. Wanting to maintain the temple as his territory, the demon attacks Tanjiro, but not before getting scratched by his axe. The wound stops bleeding almost immediately, and the demon heals itself. Witnessing the demon's speed and strength, Tanjiro is found defenseless. Just in time, Nezuko manages to snap herself out and come to Tanjiro's rescue by separating the demon's head from his body with a strong kick. While Tanjiro thinks that she killed the demon, the headless body begins to attack Nezuko, and the head grows hands and hurls itself at Tanjiro. Never thought that these words would have formed a sentence in that order, but here we are. The body of the demon manages to fling Nezuko deep into the woods, while Tanjiro pins the demon's head to a tree with his axe. Rushing to find Nezuko, Tanjiro sees the demon's body at the edge of the cliff with her. He grabs the body and jumps off with it. Nezuko catches hold of Tanjiro just in time, leaving the demon's body to crash below. Back at the tree, where he trapped the demon's head, Tanjiro attempts to kill it by justifying to himself that he will be doing a lot of people a favor. While he continues to hesitate, a man in goblin mask grabs his shoulder and informs him that he cannot kill the demon with his knife. The man realizes that faced with the prospect of having to maul the demon's head multiple times to kill it, Tanjiro continues to be concerned about the pain it will cause the demon. The sun rises just then, and the demon burns to ash the moment the light hits him. This makes Tanjiro realize the importance of Gyu's warning before parting with him. When he hurriedly looks around for Nezuko, he finds her inside the temple, within the shadows, and in her basket. Relieved, he then searches for the man. The man is found in the yard of the temple, praying over the bodies of the people that the demon killed. He introduces himself to Tanjiro as Sakonji Urokadaki and confirms whether Gyu sent Tanjiro. He proceeds to ask Tanjiro what he plans to do when Nezuko kills a human. When Tanjiro does not answer immediately, Sakonji Urokodaki slaps him and urges him not to be so slow when making a decision. He tells Tanjiro that the only right answer to the question was that he would first kill Nezuko, and then kill himself. He also tells him that Tanjiro will have to undergo a test to prove himself eligible to join the Demon Slayer Corps, and asks him to carry Nezuko on his back and follow him. Sakonji then runs shockingly fast across the land, leaving Tanjiro struggling to catch up with him. Once they reach a house at the foot of a mountain, Sakonji informs Tanjiro that his real test begins with climbing the mountain. Leaving Nezuko safe inside the house, the two proceed to the mountain. An exhausted Tanjiro was just about beginning to feel dizzy when Sakonji suddenly instructs him to return to the house at the foot of the mountain before the sun rises. Saying this, he disappears and leaves Tanjiro alone in the forest. Incorrectly thinking that his sense of smell will make this an easy task, Tanjiro soon realizes that there are numerous hidden traps on his way back. Reminding himself that he has to pass this test for Nezuko's sake, Tanjiro calms himself down and then begins to avoid most of the traps by smelling them out in advance. Back at the house, Sakonji is making sure Nezuko is safe while thinking about the letter he received from Gyu recommending him to accept Tanjiro as his student to train him to be a Demon Slayer swordsman. Just then, Tanjiro proclaims his return and collapses at the entrance of the house. Convinced of Tanjiro's capability, Sakonji accepts him as his student. Hence begins Tanjiro's strict and rough training. He fervently practices running downhill so he can master his sense of smell to avoid traps, learns the right breathing technique, the correct way to wield his katana, and even attempts being one with the water. At every hurdle, through all these challenges, Tanjiro reminds himself that he is doing all this for Nezuko, so she can be human once again. One day, this gives him all the motivation he needs to endure everything that Master Urokodaki throws at him. At times, he literally throws Tanjiro himself. But that's what learning looks like, right? A year into Tanjiro's grueling training, Master Urokodaki declares that there isn't anything more that he can teach him. Hence, there remained just one more hurdle before Tanjiro faces the final selection. Urokodaki takes Tanjiro through the snowy forest and shows him a huge rock. Tanjiro is told to break the monstrous rock to be eligible for joining the final selection. For the next 6 months, Tanjiro continues to practice everything that Master Urokodaki taught him, but no matter what he does, the rock remains undisturbed. Thoroughly frustrated about his failure, and worried whether he isn't strong enough, Tanjiro is one day banging his head against the rock when the sudden appearance of a boy in a fox mask interrupts him. This newcomer realizes that Tanjiro is feeble and immature when a duel between the two concludes. He declares that despite all the training he has undergone for a year and a half, Tanjiro has not inculcated the knowledge gained in his body, especially Master Urokodaki's total concentration breathing technique. Another fierce duel begins between the two, where the boy in the fox mask proclaims that he will make sure Tanjiro never forgets any of the knowledge that Master Urokodaki has given him. Despite carrying a wooden sword, he urges Tanjiro to display all his might and strength to prove the worthiness of his training. When Tanjiro ends up exhausted and unconscious, the guy hands over Tanjiro's responsibility to a girl who owns a cat mask. Wow, all these masks around. Give us names already. A while later, Tanjiro wakes up and Cat Mask Girl asks him whether he was fine. Before even asking her who she was, Tanjiro declares he wants to be like the Fox Mask guy because the blow that was delivered by him was absolutely perfect. She says that he can indeed become like that guy, as she will keep a watch over him. She introduces herself as Makomo and says that the Fox Mask guy is Sabito. Makomo continues to correct Tanjiro's technique to enhance his skills. She also tells Tanjiro that she and Sabito are among the children that Master Urokodaki adopted and that everyone has their eye on Tanjiro. Makomo proceeds by explaining why the total concentration technique will make Tanjiro as strong as a demon. She says that the technique is aimed at making the lungs larger, which means more air in the blood, resulting in rapid heating of bones and muscle. She tells Tanjiro that there isn't another way to perfect this technique other than working out with all his might. Tanjiro continues working on his skills to the point that he feels like he is going to lose his limbs, but even that is not enough to help him defeat Sabito. Another 6 months pass before Tanjiro finds himself confident and determined enough to challenge Sabito. With one slash of his sword, Tanjiro manages to split Sabito's fox mask into two, revealing a smiling Sabito behind it. Disappearing into nothing, Makomo urges Tanjiro to remember his performance and asks him to beat him for them. Turning around to see Sabito, Tanjiro realizes that he has disappeared as well. But surprisingly, he also sees that his sword has neatly cut through the rock he was supposed to break when he split Sabito's mask.